Imagine this scenario. You're in a high-stakes meeting with influential people. Everyone's vying for power, status, and control. It's not just about presenting the best ideas. It's about who manipulates the room, who secures the alliances, and who is willing to do whatever it takes to come out on top. Now, think of the world's most cunning rulers, politicians, and leaders. Many of them shared a common philosophy, one that is still debated and often maligned. This is the legacy of Niccolò Machiavelli. In the 16th century, Machiavelli wrote The Prince, a book that would go on to shape political thinking for centuries. At its core, Machiavelli's teachings have always been about power, how to acquire it, maintain it, and sometimes manipulate it. But despite its controversial nature, the question remains, are Machiavellian principles still relevant today? In a world dominated by social media, global politics, and corporate warfare, are these ancient tactics still the secret behind success? In this video, we'll explore why Machiavelli's ideas are still so relevant in 2025, using real-world historical case studies to illustrate how his principles continue to influence modern leaders, politics, and even corporate strategies. Whether you love him or loathe him, Machiavelli's insights into power, human nature, and strategic thinking offer valuable lessons that resonate even in our complex, fast-paced world. Welcome to the unfolding journey, where we dive deep into philosophy, history, and the ideas that continue to shape the world today. If you're someone who's interested in learning about the timeless principles of strategy, power, and personal growth, you've come to the right place. Today's video takes us on a journey through history to uncover why Machiavellian principles, often misunderstood, are still very much alive in modern society. We'll break down how these principles manifest in politics, business, and leadership in 2025, drawing on historical case studies to show that while the times may change, human nature and the dynamics of power often stay the same. If you enjoy thought-provoking content that challenges conventional wisdom and sparks meaningful reflection, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you won't miss our next deep dive into the ideas that influence our world. Before we dive into how Machiavelli's principles play out in modern contexts, let's briefly outline the core of his philosophy. Machiavelli was a diplomat, military strategist, and philosopher in Renaissance Italy. His most famous work, The Prince, is often seen as a manual on ruthless political tactics. The key principles of Machiavellianism can be summarized as: the ends justify the means. Machiavelli believed that rulers should be prepared to do whatever is necessary to maintain power, even if that involves deception, manipulation, or cruelty. For him, the outcome mattered more than the process. Human nature is self-serving. Machiavelli had a rather cynical view of human nature, arguing that people are primarily driven by self-interest. Leaders must understand this if they wish to gain and maintain control. Power is more important than morality. A ruler's primary duty is to secure and maintain power, even at the expense of traditional moral values. Virtue in a leader, according to Machiavelli, is the ability to wield power effectively. Appearances matter more than reality. Machiavelli famously advised rulers to appear virtuous, even if they weren't, because the perception of goodness helped to consolidate power and maintain influence. Machiavellianism in historical context. Now, let's explore how these principles were applied by some of history's most famous figures. Julius Caesar, the art of ambition. Julius Caesar, one of the most famous figures in Roman history, is a prime example of Machiavellian tactics in action. Caesar's rise to power was characterized by strategic alliances, manipulation of the Senate, and a careful balance of military strength and public appeal. His crossing of the Rubicon in 49 BC, an act of defiance against the Roman Senate, demonstrated his willingness to break the law and risk everything for the sake of ultimate power. Caesar understood that the ends justified the means. He used his military prowess, political acumen, and knowledge of human nature to manipulate the Roman public and the Senate, securing his position as dictator. He also understood that perception was key. He famously projected an image of humility and fairness even as he centralized power. Caesar's story isn't just one of ambition. It's one of a leader who embodied Machiavellian principles in his strategic rise to the top. Relevance today. In 2025, politicians and leaders in power still use similar tactics. Just like Caesar, they form strategic alliances, manipulate media narratives, and create a public image that serves their long-term goals. Power and appearance often outweigh morality in the modern political landscape, as we see in global politics today. Queen Elizabeth I, the politician who mastered perception. Queen Elizabeth I of England, the so-called Virgin Queen, mastered the art of perception and political maneuvering during her reign in the 16th century. She maintained a delicate balance between appearing virtuous and powerful, often using diplomacy and the threat of military force to maintain her kingdom's dominance. Elizabeth carefully crafted her image as a chaste, wise, and almost godlike ruler, even as she executed rivals and engaged in political deception. Elizabeth's reign was defined by her ability to navigate the intricate webs of alliances and enemies in a Europe riven by religious wars and dynastic conflicts. Like Machiavelli advised, she created an aura of moral superiority and used it to suppress opposition and secure loyalty. When needed, she was willing to be ruthless and manipulative, even while maintaining a veneer of being the people's monarch. Relevance today. Elizabeth's strategic use of public relations and image management is highly relevant in today's world of social media and public figures. Politicians, celebrities, and business leaders still use controlled appearances to build power, manipulating how the public perceives them to achieve their goals. Napoleon Bonaparte. Power through control and manipulation. Napoleon Bonaparte, the French military leader and emperor, epitomized Machiavellian leadership. He rose from obscurity to become Emperor of France, not only through military brilliance, but also through his deep understanding of political maneuvering and human psychology. Napoleon knew how to manipulate public sentiment, create loyalty, and decisively act to secure his position. His use of propaganda, carefully cultivated image, and brutal suppression of dissent showcased the darker side of Machiavellianism in practice. Napoleon's reforms in France, the Napoleonic Code, the reorganization of education, and the consolidation of power in his own hands, demonstrated that, in his mind, power was more important than traditional morality. His rise and fall underscore Machiavelli's point. Without power, nothing else matters. Relevance today. In modern business and politics, the same principles are at play. Business leaders like Napoleon use propaganda, branding, and public manipulation to build loyal followings and secure their dominance in competitive industries. Machiavellianism in 2025, case studies and applications. Now, let's turn our attention to how Machiavellian principles are playing out in 2025 in the realms of politics, business, and leadership. Corporate leadership, the rise of the Machiavellian CEO. In the world of business, Machiavellian principles are still alive and well. CEOs and executives often display a ruthless approach to competition, manipulating public perception, outsmarting rivals, and using whatever means necessary to maintain corporate dominance. A great example is Elon Musk, who has shown time and again that his ability to create strong public narratives and use personal influence is a central element of his success. Musk's strategic use of social media and his often controversial decisions, like taking Tesla private or tweeting about Bitcoin, demonstrate a deep understanding of manipulating public perception to serve personal and corporate objectives. He doesn't shy away from breaking rules if it aligns with his ultimate goals, making him a contemporary example of a Machiavellian leader in the tech industry. Relevance today. Like Musk, other business leaders use Machiavellian principles of manipulation, public image crafting, and strategic alliances to push boundaries and secure success in competitive industries. The pursuit of power, image, and influence is still at the heart of corporate leadership. Political leaders, Realpolitik in global politics. On the global stage, Machiavellian principles are still front and center. Leaders like Vladimir Putin in Russia, Xi Jinping in China, and Donald Trump in the United States have all utilized Machiavellian strategies to maintain control and influence, often bending or ignoring ethical boundaries to further their own agendas. Putin's manipulation of public perception through media control, his strategic use of alliance building and covert operations, and his ruthless suppression of opposition all align with Machiavelli's teachings. The same applies to Xi Jinping, who consolidated his power in China by centralizing authority and suppressing dissent, while crafting a personal cult of leadership to maintain a strong public image. Relevance today. In modern politics, Realpolitik, the pursuit of power by any means necessary, remains a dominant strategy. Machiavelli's insights into leadership, human nature, and the manipulation of power are more relevant than ever in today's polarized political environment. Machiavelli's principles, though centuries old, remain deeply relevant in 2025. From political leaders to corporate moguls, his teachings on power, perception, and human nature continue to shape how we navigate our world. By studying historical figures like Caesar, Elizabeth I, and Napoleon, we can see how Machiavellian strategies still hold sway in shaping decisions, securing power, and overcoming adversity. In today's complex global society, understanding Machiavellianism can offer invaluable lessons for both personal and professional growth. But remember, the price of power can often be high. The ends justify the means, but at what cost? In 2025, we are still grappling with these questions as we seek to navigate a world where the manipulation of perception, the pursuit of power, and the creation of new values continue to dominate the stage. If you found this exploration of Machiavelli's principles fascinating and want to continue your journey into philosophy, history, and the forces that shape our world today, be sure to subscribe to The Unfolding Journey and hit the bell icon for notifications. You won't want to miss our next deep dive into the timeless ideas that continue to influence our lives. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.